you're probably doing what you think you're supposed to be doing. You're probably posting more, you're going live, you're trying all the trends. But what if that's not the fastest way? Maybe you don't have a content problem. Maybe you actually have a planning problem and a trust problem. So what if visibility isn't the only goal? Because visibility only gets you noticed. But what makes you get remembered and paid is an entirely different thing. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am so excited to get to spend the next hour with you guys. Get really excited because what you're about to learn is going to absolutely rock your world. Today, I'm so excited that you have joined me to learn how to turn podcast guesting into your biggest sales and customer acquisition channel. So you may not have even ever heard of this as an opportunity to be used as a customer acquisition channel. But you guys, today, I'm about to share with you some things that I think you're not even going to fathom. And there's so many reasons why this can be your next massive customer acquisition channel. So you guys, I almost named this a totally different program. And when I was thinking of this, I was sitting with a bunch of friends and I was talking with my husband as well. And I was like, okay, I have seen way too much in the 10 years of my podcasting to not help people profit off of other people's podcasts. And I was like, you guys, it's perfect. I know I'm supposed to be clear is kind. And then I was like, oh, that spells P-O-O-P-P. I'm not sure if I can teach people how to poop. Like, I'm pretty sure that I could, but I think we're going to call it something else. But honestly, you guys, it should be called that because this program is the absolute shit. So I'm Lori Harder. I am on a mission to help turn podcast guesting into one of the biggest sales and customer acquisition channels in your business. And for the past decade, I have literally had one of the best seats in the business. So I have 85 million downloads on my podcast. I'm a top 25 host of Earn Your Happy and founder of Glossy. I have recorded 1,600 episodes. Like, for some of you math whizzes in here, how many, if each episode is around an hour, like how many months straight have I sat in front of a podcast microphone, probably doubting myself? Like, how many months is that? You guys, I've been an entrepreneur for 18 years. I'm an 8-figure entrepreneur. I have seen thousands of guest pitches from the people at the top of the industry, people like Mel Robbins, all the way down to people who are brand new saying, can I come on your podcast? So I have literally seen every single type of pitch, everything in between, and spent thousands of hours studying what separates just somebody who leaves with an episode and somebody who leaves with money and who leaves with clients. And so getting booked is literally just the beginning. And the most incredible thing is I had released a media kit. A lot of you probably already got it as a freebie, and talking about the importance of what goes into a pitch, except that is literally just the beginning. How many of you got the media kit on here? I'd love to hear. I'd love to see. I'd love to also know if you started filling it out or not, you guys, because action matters. But it's not just about getting booked. That is literally the very beginning. So for the next 45 minutes, buckle up, because I'm going to give you, was that an accent? I'm going to give you the real behind the scenes strategy of top experts like Mel Robbins, Daniel Priestley, Shelby Sapp, and how they turned podcasting into one of their biggest customer acquisition channels. So do you want that? I think so. I think we do. Okay. So today we are talking about why do some podcast guests generate thousands, even millions of dollars from a single interview? And I'm going to show you that. while others walk away with nothing more than a podcast episode. Okay, let's get really, really honest in the comments. How many of you have been on a podcast, you went and you poured your heart out, but nothing really happened from it? The second thing we're going to learn is a simple shift that turns podcast guesting into one of our biggest customer acquisition channels in your business. Number 3, how one strategic conversation can build more trust than months of creating content, and why trust is one of the most important things, even more than visibility, that you are after. And then we're going to learn how to turn every podcast interview into a repeatable source of leads, clients, sales, all of the things that we all want as a business. That's like all of the words that we want, right? When we have a business. Trust me, I get it. I am a business owner, have been for 20 years. Customer acquisition, getting customers, getting eyeballs is the thing that literally feels like it solves everything. And it can if you know what to do. So by the end of this training, you are never going to look at podcasting the same again. You're welcome. This is going to be life-changing because what you're about to learn is so much bigger than podcasting. You know, when we think about podcasting, it's the idea that people just go on a show to learn about you. You go on, the host asks you some questions, they do some research before, and maybe they do 5 minutes of research. Maybe they are a great host and they do an hour of research, and you go on and you just kind of answer questions. You don't know if you're telling stories. You don't know if you're giving answers. You're not super clear on everything that's going on. But today, this is about engineering everything that goes into a podcast and how the results are going to completely change your life. So you're about to learn the formula for becoming the authority in your industry. This is a repeatable framework for becoming the expert people remember, trust, recommend, and buy from. And you can use this to help build a personal brand that instantly builds trust. You can use this to become the go-to authority in your industry, speak on podcasts and stages with confidence, create a message people never forget, turn every opportunity to be seen into lasting credibility, attract clients, partnerships, and opportunities naturally. This can be used on so much more than podcasting. This is for anybody who uses words. This is for anybody who has a message. And so the clarity that you're going to experience on this, I hope, is going to make you feel like you know exactly what to focus on next. But first, I want to take you way back because my life did not always look like that fancy bio that I got to read. That's really exciting. But I come from a very small town and I want to take you back there. So I am from a place in Upper Michigan. Most people don't even know that there's an upper portion to Michigan. And if you want to kind of know where we are on the map, so if you think of Canada and Toronto, Upper Michigan, where I'm from, is higher than that. Like we actually have a Canadian accent in the US. Like our bumper sticker that we're known for is "Say yeah to the UPA." Like I am from a tiny town. And I can tell you that my very first experience of entrepreneurship, I just want you to look at this picture of my childhood home. It used to be a pink door. My mom would be so mad that that's painted. But on that porch right there, those little cement steps is where I would get watercolor paint and I would paint on just little pieces of paper and I would tape them up on the door and I would sell them for $1. Now, nobody bought these paintings from me, which was really great rejection therapy, but that's actually where my entrepreneurial spirit started. But I grew up in this small town. I was raised in a more restrictive religion. I was raised Jehovah's Witness and I went door to door every single week. And I would ask people if they were interested in learning about the Bible or wanted to hear about the end of the world and if they would be saved or not. And go figure, I did not recruit one person, but knocking on doors gave me some of the best rejection therapy of my entire life. Now, because I was raised in that religion as well, I ended up homeschooling through high school. And I never graduated. So I never graduated high school. Still to this day, I have never graduated. I had the story that I was not smart enough. I felt like I had these massive dreams inside of me. Like all I could see was myself on stages. I could see myself doing something big. I didn't know if it was performing. I didn't know if it was teaching. I didn't know if it was being famous. All I knew is I was obsessed with Oprah. I wanted to help transform people. I was obsessed with health and fitness because my family was really overweight, and I ended up figuring that out for myself. And I knew that I wanted to help people with that transformation as well. Fast forward, I was a little bit slow, kind of slow to get my breakthrough. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I really started to create things and become an entrepreneur. But I will tell you, and that's also me in the both of these pictures. And I will tell you that that is also cutting your own bangs in the picture to the left. I don't suggest that. But the thing is that I didn't have the education, and that really felt like it was going to hold me back my entire life. Who on here feels like they have something that they grew up with that is like this consistent reason that they feel is the reason why they can't do the thing? And that was always the thing that got repeated in my head is I'm not smart enough. I don't have the education. I don't know how to do this. I don't have entrepreneurs around me. I don't understand this. I'm from a small town. I've never seen this, except I didn't have the education, but I learned the power of leveraging opportunities, other people's podcasts, and other people's audiences. So getting in front of other people's audiences. And this was really huge for me. So how many of you on here have ever had the feeling that you are meant for so much more, or your business should be so much bigger than it is? I just know what I do is really, really good. I know that I'm good at what I do. I know I have this thing inside of me, but it isn't quite there. But I feel like my breakthrough is right around the corner. Like I feel this close. I want to tell you guys, you are this close. You are literally this close to your breakthrough. Do not quit. I can't tell you the amount of times that I have felt like I was never going to get to where I wanted to go. I remember when I wrote my first book and I was in the middle of writing it, and I would look at the bookshelf in front of me at my house and I was like, I don't know if my book will ever show up on my bookshelf. Like you lose faith in between, you lose faith in the middle of it. I swear when a dream comes through, it's like, you have to walk your dream through Death Valley, and you have to have all of that faith and bring it through in order for it to come through. You guys, you might just be in the middle. You're so close. So you know you're meant for more. You're great at what you do. You've invested in what you do. You've worked, you've built something incredible, but it's like you just can't catch that momentum. And you're probably watching a lot of people with less experience than you, maybe way younger than you, with less wisdom, become names that people know. And you wonder, why the hell do they not know my name yet? Why can't I figure this out? And you guys, it isn't jealousy. It's literally what happens when you spot someone with the magic that you have in you, who understands what I am talking about. We need to learn how to transform that jealousy into going, the reason that I feel some kind of way about watching his or her incredible success is because I know that that's mine. I also know that that's in me. I know that I am capable of this. Don't let that feeling burn out, you guys. That is a superpower. I want to know how many of you have this. Do not wish it away. Don't get mad at it. It's the thing that keeps kicking you in the ass saying, don't quit. Like it's your soul going, okay, I'm still here. I'm not dead. I still want these things. And that's what I want for you guys today. I want you to realize that this is a really exciting modality for you, that maybe the other modalities were not working and this one just might. So, you want to become the person that people recommend when they think of your niche. The entrepreneur who lands on those big shows, the one who's always invited to those fancy dinners or those events with all of the entrepreneurs or the 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs that we all see them getting together. And we're like, God, when is it going to be my turn? When am I going to be the person who's going to be, the person who's recommended and invited to all of those things? I get it, you guys. I understand it. So you don't want attention just for attention's sake. You want attention because attention creates trust, and trust creates customers, and customers create freedom. How many of you are here because you know that you want to create an epic ass experience for your family and your friends? Like, this is so me. I am like, give me all of the money, give me all the cash and the attention, because I want to take that and I want to create the best experiences for my family and friends. I want to not have to look at the price of how much my organic cottage cheese is anymore. And you guys, there was a time in 2008 when Chris and I were first married where we lost everything. He was in mortgage and finance. I literally was working random jobs. I was working at a coffee shop. I worked at an Ulta. I worked at the front desk of a hair salon. And I just really believed that I would never amount to anything because I did not graduate. And so when Chris lost his job in mortgage and finance, he was the breadwinner. And I remember we were like $300,000 in debt. And I remember saying to him, like feeling so frustrated. I was like, I just don't want to compare prices of cottage cheese anymore. I just want to buy the cottage cheese that I want. Like, I want to stop looking at the prices at the grocery store and then sweating at checkout, wondering how much this grocery bill is going to be and how much I spent. Like, what would that feel like to stop looking at price tags, whether it's cottage cheese or whether it's the gosh darn dress that I want, and I don't want to look at price tags anymore? Who feels me? Who has been in a situation where you're like, I am ready to do the work because I want to feel free. I want to stop feeling trapped by my choices and my reality. So you're probably doing what you think you're supposed to be doing. You're probably posting more. You're going live. You're trying all the trends. Trust me, I have done it. I do it. I totally get it. We do all of the things. But what if that's not the fastest way? Maybe you don't have a content problem. Maybe you actually have a planning problem and a trust problem. So what if visibility isn't the only goal? Because visibility only gets you noticed. But what makes you get remembered and paid is an entirely different thing. So after interviewing thousands of entrepreneurs, I started to notice a pattern. I noticed that the biggest businesses and the people who did the best on my podcast or ended up telling me about the money they made, or I could see the money they made through the links that we've posted, the biggest businesses weren't always built by the biggest names. A lot of them didn't even have a big following. Some weren't even well known. Some people didn't know them at all. And you guys, if you've built something incredible, this is really exciting for you. And here's the thing. They all understood something that everyone else missed. And that is that the interview doesn't create the opportunity. The strategy behind it is what creates everything. So the majority of my guests, and this is insane for me to say, like this is actually wild for me to say. How many episodes have I done? 1,600. And of those that I did interviews, the majority of my guests came in unprepared, not knowing what makes a great podcast interview. I'm not saying that I did not enjoy these people. I'm not saying I didn't love meeting them. I'm not saying that they did a decent job, but they didn't understand what actually goes into an interview that people remember. You guys, we have an elite mastermind. And these are amazing 7 and 8 figure founders. We've had this mastermind for like 8 years. And these are incredible people that when I'm in the room for this mastermind and we're all getting to be together and teaching them, that my mind is constantly blown by what these people know, how they show up. I'm constantly learning from them as well. It's like one of the coolest things that I get to experience having this mastermind. And this last year, we decided to give them an interview on my podcast if they decided to purchase this last year. And so we've been fulfilling all of these different podcasts. And what I learned from this experience is that most all of them were asking my team how to prep. They were asking me how to prep. They didn't know how to show up. They didn't know how to package the story of their message or their business. They're really good in one area. But when it comes to really getting out there and being very visible, they felt really, really lost on how to package their expertise, especially for a podcast. And so they didn't have any idea about even how to show up and be able to sell what they already sell in different areas online. So this isn't just about the people in my mastermind. This is about everybody who had come on that didn't just waste a podcast interview. What they didn't know that they were wasting was one of the biggest opportunities for sales, customers, and a customer acquisition channel that I have personally ever seen. So I've watched podcast interviews generate millions of dollars. Not only has this happened for me, being able to sell all of my different products on my own podcast, and also watching how high ticket converts on a podcast, but I've also seen it for a ton of my guests. So I've watched guests turn a single conversation on my show into literally years of new clients, speaking opportunities, strategic partnerships, book sales, and life-changing business growth. So why does one guest leave with customers, leads, followers, sales, and another just leaves with a recording? Like so many of you who said, okay, I've done the podcast thing, I've been on it, and I've just left with a recording. By the way, if you guys have never been on a podcast, this is an incredible training for you. You're going to learn so much on here about how to do it right from the very beginning, how to package your message right, how to do this all right from the beginning. So congratulations for coming on. Even if you have not been on one yet, this is going to be a great channel for you. All right. I'm about to show you why being a guest on other people's podcasts, right? This is going back to our poop name. Being a guest on other people's podcasts is one of the biggest untapped opportunities to grow your business. So, why podcast guesting? Some opportunities accelerate your business while others completely change the trajectory of your business entirely. So, if trust is what grows a business, what would the fastest way to build trust be? Some opportunities compress time. Let's talk about this. We're going to get into this and the science behind it. So most growth is slow and gradual, but every once in a while, there comes an opportunity that literally compresses years into a single moment. And I call this a quantum leap opportunity. Who's ever had one of these? Like where you're like doing that thing, going all in on that thing, really understanding that thing is what took me like years like ahead. It just took me into what all the spiritual girlies say is jumping timelines, right? Like if you want to know what jumping timelines means, it is when you do something and you focus on something that you are so prepared in the moment that when you get it, that it can actually jump you forward by 1 to 3 to 5 to 10 years because you were prepared for a high leverage moment. Okay, let's talk about some high leverage moments, right? The quantum leap opportunity. Writing a book for me, huge. 2017, I spent 3 years writing a book. From thinking of the idea to getting a literary agent to writing proposal to being on book tour and everything that went in between that, 3 years. So I want you to think, right now, it's 2026, you guys. You're like, I've got this idea. I'm going to write a book. And you're not going to get it out of your soul until 3 years from now. I don't know about you. I'm a fast start. That was like killing me. I'm like, idea. I want to put it out like immediately. I want people to get this message. It's almost like your message starts to feel like, okay, that was, I wrote this book 3 years ago. I'm like an absolutely different person. By the time I read my book, I felt like a totally different person. Don't get me wrong. There are some books that got fast tracked, but even fast tracked is like 18 months to 2 years, you guys. So let's talk about quantum leap opportunity of becoming a paid speaker. So paid speaker, incredible, but it takes years of credibility and years of multiple stages and proof that you are a speaker that people would want to bet on. Because I want you to think about this. You're about to spend tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not some people spend millions of dollars on their event. To bet on a new speaker, never. You would never, ever do that. Too many people are buying the tickets. Too many people are relying on you to deliver, people who are seasoned, people who know exactly what they're doing if the lights go out, right? If the mic goes off. Like becoming a paid speaker is a long form win, but once you hit, that can absolutely propel your career, right? Okay. So strategic partnerships, that's another one. People want to see you around. They want to see what you've done. They want to see what you've built before they partner with you, where a partnership could absolutely launch you into the next era of your career. Now, this is amazing. Podcast guesting. You could literally get booked this week, be fully prepared for that podcast, go live next week. And if you hit on the right audience and the right podcast host, you could have a life-changing moment for your business. You could get in front of the right group that all of a sudden something happens that I'm about to talk about, and you will see why this could be a completely trajectory changing moment for you. So the mistake is that most people get podcast guesting wrong. They think it's about getting booked and getting that exposure, right? You guys all think it's PR. Like a lot of people get PR teams. The amount of PR pitches that I get in my inbox every day is insane. So a lot of you have PR teams that do all of this booking for you. And you guys think it's just like, let me get out there. Let me answer questions in front of people. And it isn't. Podcasting is about borrowing trust and being ready and prepared when this opportunity arises. So it builds trust and credibility in a fraction of time because of something that I call trust transfer. So why the trust transfer works. So our brains are wired for shortcuts. How many of you have done the thing where you are on a car ride and you're just kind of like doing the car ride? Maybe you're with your husband, maybe you're singing different songs, you're playing different games in the car, maybe you're just completely zoned out, maybe you're listening to podcasts, and somebody in the passenger seat can ask you, how many black Toyotas have you seen on this 3-hour drive so far? And you kind of answer, I have no idea. Like, I don't even know if I've seen one. Then all of a sudden, within that next hour, you can count anywhere from 100 to 500 black Toyotas on that road. This is because our brains have so many billions of bits of pieces that are going into our brain every single day that we take cognitive shortcuts all day long. The coolest part for you and all of this is that our strongest cognitive shortcut that we want to take is called authority bias, or maybe you've heard of it called, especially if you're a personal development person, social proof. And so when someone already respects or introduces another person, what our brain does is we automatically assign that credibility before we form our own opinion. And so that's the first stage of the trust transfer. So the second level of why podcasts literally crush the way that they do when you get this right is because something even more powerful happens when someone has extended that initial trust, right? When they're like, I love this podcast host. I've listened to them forever. And now I'm like so tuned into this guest. Your brain starts looking for evidence that confirms it. And this is called confirmation bias. So then if as a guest, you're providing a lot of value to that person, you're sharing stories where they feel really seen. You're sharing deep trust stories, transformational stories. You're being vulnerable. That trust deepens super fast. So why long form conversations win? What I want to do is I want to compare this to a 7-second reel compared to a 1-hour podcast. Don't get me wrong. I know that a 7-second reel is a lot easier than a 1-hour podcast. Actually, maybe it's not. If you're a long form girly living in a short form world like I am, then maybe a 7-second reel actually feels more painful than a 1-hour podcast. But let's compare the two when we're talking about why long form conversations win, like hands down when it comes to trust and compressing time. So a 7-second reel is quick attention, but it's also easy to forget. How many of you, I want to see in the chat box, like, are you a meme sending junkie like I am? Like, or are you a reel sending junkie like I am? Like, I speak in reels to my friends. I'll send it to them. I'm like, this is us. Oh my God, look at this. But honestly, I don't know who made it. I didn't go follow them. I didn't comment and I didn't like it. And so, meaning I didn't hit the little heart button. How many of you do this on a daily basis that even though you see that reel has tens of thousands of shares and likes, you probably did not follow them. You don't trust them. It's not someone that you're like, I'm just going to go buy from this person. Like, you're not doing that. We use it. We love it. We're obsessed. But what's happening is that we're chasing that. So we're chasing vanity numbers more than we're chasing this very deep trust that I'm going to tell you converts. So let's talk about what a 1-hour podcast does. A 1-hour podcast gives people time to hear your stories. It gives people time to understand context. How many times have you been like, context, people? Like, if they comment on your post, you're like, God, I wish I could have given more context to that, because like, that's not literally what I meant. It lets them understand your thinking. It gives them time to connect emotionally. It gives them time to feel you. It gives them time to feel your energy. Okay, how many of you have cried on a podcast before where you're like, oh my God, like I feel this so much. Like I feel so connected to this person. I am such a podcast like listener. It's where I've learned so many things. So I absolutely am the person who's like, oh my gosh, this is like one of the most moving conversations, because stories change the brain. We have told stories from the beginning of time. And research in neuroscience shows that stories engage multiple brain networks involved in language, memory, emotion, imagination, more broadly than presenting isolated facts alone. So when listeners actually get to hear your story, when they get to hear your tone, when they get to hear your voice, they're not just processing information. They're literally mentally simulating that experience. They are putting themselves in your shoes. They are feeling it. I know a lot of you in the comments are saying, yes, I've cried on different podcasts. I felt that. So what this does is this creates emotional connection, better memory, greater empathy, higher perceived trust. I remember podcasts that impact me. Not only do I remember them, I send them to people. I put them in my family group chats. I say, this is going to change your life. It's very rare that I send a reel that has impacted me so much that I say, I am different after this podcast. I have had those. And that's the power of an incredible podcast when people are prepared. So podcasting activates something social media cannot. It activates connection. Or it activates it in a way that social media absolutely cannot do. So psychologists call these parasocial relationships. So listeners feel like they know the host, even if they've never met you. After listening week after week, the host feels like a trusted friend. How many of you on here even feel, even if it's my podcast that you listen to, like, you know who I am? Like, oh, Lori gets me. Oh, you know what? I'm getting ready. I'm putting on my makeup. I'm going to listen to Lori, or I'm going to listen to my favorite podcast host, or I'm going to listen to Lewis Howes, or I'm going to listen to Jenna Kutcher, or I'm going to listen to Diary of a CEO. Like, these are the people in your life that you feel like you know everything about them. You feel like you know them. You feel like they are a friend. And so what happens during that is that people immediately can feel that way when you go on the show of one of those hosts. So how many of you here used to watch Oprah? I absolutely loved her. I watched the show all of the time. And do you remember a time not that long ago where Oprah used to be called the star maker, because people would go on her show who absolutely had no name. Nobody knew who they were. Maybe they had written a book. Maybe they had a great story. And what would happen is something called the Oprah effect. And because so many people felt this parasocial relationship with Oprah, that she was like a mother figure to them, a friend figure to them, somebody that they felt close to, that all of a sudden Oprah would have these people on their show. Yes, Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz. Yes, you name it. Like all of these different people, their careers were made, not just for a little bit, like for a lifetime. Their careers were made because of exactly what I'm talking about here. This trust transfer that can happen on podcasts. And so I kind of want to just know, option A or option B, which one are you? Would you rather spend the next 2 years building your own audience, paying for your own expensive podcast that could be $1,000 a month to $5,000 to $15,000, depending on how much production you're putting into it? Or would you rather start borrowing someone else's literally this week? And I'm about to show you some crazy evidence about why you might want to lean towards B. All right. First, I want to start with something that literally rocked my brain chemistry. Like, this changed the way that I think. It's called the 7-11-4 rule. So this is about how podcasts collapse time and accelerate the buying process. So this is Daniel Priestley's 7-11-4 rule. Love Daniel Priestley. We'll talk about him in a minute. This is where it takes about 7 hours for somebody to buy from you, 11 different touch points. So them seeing you 11 different times and 4 different platforms. But the number we're going to focus on is 7 hours. Like people really need to know, trust, hear your stories, all of the things. So 7, 11, 4 for buying. 7 hours is a very important thing for you to remember. So let's talk about what it takes to fill up that 7 hours, to reach that 7 hours on 7-second reels. That would be 3,600 7-second reels back to back compared to one 1-hour podcast, right? Where you could go on one 1-hour podcast 7 times. And as you can see through how the trust deepens within each different area that you're doing, that the deepest trust is going to be built in the podcasting webinar, people hearing your stories or getting one-on-one with them. And this is about the closest thing without sitting belly to belly with someone that you can get in the whole social era right now is podcasting. So I want to talk to you about Daniel Priestley. He's one of my absolute favorite mentors. He's a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, founder of multiple multi-million-dollar companies. And he didn't land one of the world's biggest podcasts by accident, you guys. He went on Diary of a CEO, and he was one of the most prepared guests, not only with his message, but with his business. And this is something that we are going to dive into in just a minute about the importance of also having your business ready. But let's talk about what can happen when you are the entire package and you go on a podcast with a lot of eyeballs. What happened after his first visit on Diary of a CEO? So he ended up 3 million people watched the episode. That's insane, right? He ended up getting $3 million of new revenue in his company from this podcast, 9,000 new users on his Score app, 50,000 plus extra copies of his book sold. He got invited on global stages worldwide, and he attracted top talent to his company. One podcast where preparation, his business, everything met a giant opportunity all at once. Now, I know and can guarantee other people went on Diary of a CEO and did not have this happen because they probably were not prepared in their business for all of these different things that Daniel was prepared for. So I want to tell you about my podcast now and what has happened with my guests on my show. And these are just people, you guys, who I've recently been really digging into and they've been telling me. So I'm going to go back through my whole archive and I'm going to get every testimonial and transformation from everyone who's been on my show. So this is Samantha. A lot of you might know her. She's incredible. She is an amazing breathwork facilitator. She is popping off right now. But when I first met Samantha, I had no idea who she was. She had no following. She hadn't been doing her business for that long. A friend introduced us and just said, hey, I think you guys would really vibe. Like you kind of have the same energy. I said, yes, I love what she was talking about. This is way back in the day. And she said, I went on Lori Harder's podcast and within 30 days of going on Earn Your Happy, I made an extra $100K in my Hungry for Happiness certification program from people who found me through her show. I just have a question. Would any of you like to have an extra $100K in your business from a 1-hour podcast episode that still lives on my platform? Guys, this might have been 8 years ago now. That episode still plays today. And I have one of the biggest backlog audiences, meaning they go back and they love to listen to old episodes. Are you getting how big this opportunity is? Are you advertising your stuff from 8 years ago? No, imagine this. Like this is literally still being advertised every single day for people who go find this backlog. Or you could be Jess, who also had a very small following. People did not know her name. She was new to my audience. She was newer in the entrepreneurial world, probably within a year or two. She went on my podcast and she shared her program called Empower. It was her signature live 12-week program where she taught everyday people how to turn their lived experiences into online course coaching program. So she made 5 sales, and maybe that sounds like not a lot, right? Except each sale was for a $5,000 product. That is a $25,000 return. And this happened so fast after she was on the show. I remember she texted me. It was either like a day or a couple days. It was not long after that this all happened when the podcast launched. And so the craziest part is for most high ticket things like this, like the mid to high ticket, most of the time, this takes years of trust building on your own. This takes tons of emailing. This takes tons of warming up. And this usually takes a sales call, you guys. How many of you have had to book sales calls for your stuff, or you've been on sales calls for a ticket around this 5K? And so to be able to convert after a 1-hour podcast, I want you to understand that there were so many things happening there. She was prepared. She also borrowed the trust of my audience who trusted me for listening to me for years. The trust transfer is so much more real than you realize. The credibility that a host gives you by having you on their show if you are ready and prepared. So Maria went, maybe some of you know her. She was recently on my podcast and she said, I made a ton of money from it, got a ton of followers, and I highly recommend going on podcasts for growing your business. This is a modality that Maria is going hard on this year. You're probably seeing her on a bunch of podcasts. I will tell you that she has posted, I think, over 10 reels from our podcast. Like, she's using it to drive people back because that is an asset. A podcast is a consistent selling asset that you have for years and years and years and years. So Natalia B, maybe you know who she is too. She's incredible. I love her. She said being on Lori's podcast was not only a dream come true, it helped grow my Instagram audience with aligned audience, not just vanity metrics, and truly aligned audience because they were resonating with her. It wasn't from just a sales page. And her membership waitlist grew, and she brought in a soulmate client who paid her over $20,000 over the 10 months that they ended up working together. So right now you might be having a moment that my friends had when I was telling them I was at a mastermind recently. It was a 7 and 8 figure mastermind. And it was a bunch of my incredible friends. I had Natalie Ellis there of Boss Babe, Brooke Shelton, who's talking all about AI right now. And I was telling them about what was happening on my podcast. And one of the women there was saying, she's an incredible 8-figure coach. Like, she's absolutely amazing. And she was saying, oh my God, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Like, I have a podcast and I'm watching my people make money from my podcast, but I'm not going on the shows where I could be making all the money. So they were like, you have to launch this program and I have to be the person who goes through it. And I have to be a transformation story because this is literally going to be a huge channel for me. So maybe you're having that moment right now where you're like, I've been playing the wrong game. Maybe instead of wanting to start a podcast, I should just go on trusted audiences that already exist. So what if grinding on social or starting a podcast was just a massive, massive bonus for your business? What if you could become a professional guest and get in front of other people's audiences every single week? So this is where this gets really real. Let's talk about the massive opportunity that's here, because right now, everyone in their golden doodle, those are my sheepadoodles, you guys, they have podcasts. Okay, mine don't, but literally go and look. There are dogs, AI dogs with podcasts right now. So that's Bananas in the White, Bonkers is the dark one. They're the cutest ever. And going on someone's podcast is free. They also normally create all of the social assets for you. Like, they're paying for production for you as well, not only getting you in front of their audience. So let's talk about the numbers. There are currently 3 million podcasts on Apple. There are 482,000 active weekly shows. An active show means that they are posting at least once a week. You guys, most people need one guest a week. So if you think 482,000 is small, what I need you to do is multiply that by 52 guests a year. That's 25 million opportunities for you to get on a show. By the way, we need guests. Like, I don't have an option. I need to be booking good guests. And I'll tell you, there's a bit of a dry spell with really good guests. I've had a lot of the people on. I need more good guests who get how to do this. So climbing the podcast ladder, small shows are under 500 downloads, mid-sized shows, 500 to 5,000, big shows, 5,000 to 50,000, super shows, 500,000 and up. And so if you think about this and we run the numbers, if you did 2 interviews per week on an average show, you guys, that's 260,000 people. That's 4 NFL stadiums. If you did 2 interviews per week on a 5,000 person show, That's like 7 NFL stadiums that you're getting in front of every year. If you did 2 interviews per week on an average show, 10,000, then you are getting in front of 14 NFL stadiums per year. And if you did a super show just once per month, that's 1.2 million of a die-hard trusted audience that you're going to get in front of. So my ultimate aha moment came from a guest that came on years ago. And when he came on the show, he pitched me with one of the best pitches that I've ever seen. In fact, he pitched me an opportunity. He said, I am going to come on. We're going to have a huge plan from the beginning to the end of the show to marketing. This is one of my biggest ways that I grow my business. And when I'm on the show, I'm actually going to send you a full prep doc. If you want to be an affiliate, that would be amazing. Here's your affiliate link so that I am going to go on your show. I'm going to tell these stories. We're going to sell in this way. We're going to use these clips. We're going to do this thing. And we end up recording the episode. And I still, to this day, make money off of that show because this is one of his biggest sales channels that he uses. He uses stages and he uses podcasts. I'm not telling you his name because it's a whole entire business model. But why was his interview so different from all the others, you guys? It is because he understood how to do it. He understood that a podcast is what generates eyeballs. It's what generates all of the leads. It's what generates all of the attention. It's what we say makes it rain, right? It's what makes it rain down. But if you don't have the buckets of your business set up, if you don't have your offers, if you don't have your freebies, if you don't know how to story sell, then there's not going to be any business, right? Because your buckets have to capture it all. And if there's no buckets, there's no business. So a lot of people go on and they don't even know what they're going to talk about. So there could be 2 guests, same host, same audience, same microphone, 2 totally different experiences. Why is that? Because I hope that you're realizing that this is a conversation sales funnel. It's a living, breathing sales page. How many of you have ever seen a sales page that's converted you to purchase something? This is if a sales page could literally go on steroids and crack all at once and be able to speak to you, literally speak to your exact problem and let you know that it has your solution where they can feel you, they understand you. And so what I hope you're getting is that you need a plan and you need these things in place. You need a brand that people are excited to discover, a clear message that they remember, stories that sell without feeling salesy, frameworks and key takeaways, mic drop moments, an offer they want, and a way to turn attention into clients. So imagine if every week you got in front of audiences with this. That is why I created $1 Million Guest, which I'm so excited to share with you guys. It is a 5-week live accelerator. It's a complete blueprint for getting booked, for becoming the authority that people trust, building a brand that reinforces your credibility, delivering unforgettable interviews, you guys teaching you how to story tell and how to story sell, and turning every podcast appearance into that repeatable system that I just briefly mentioned to you that attracts clients, opportunities, and lasting business growth. So this is the $1 Million Guest method that I'm going to go through with you guys. So this is the 5-week accelerator where you get to become the professional guest. How many of you are excited about the thought that this is something that maybe you could get really, really good at? Because you're probably someone who impacts your friends or your friends go to. You're probably someone who coaches your friends. You're probably someone who people love being around. You're probably someone who's very influential to the people who know you, and you just know that you need a bigger reach. So let me walk you through this. So we have the 5 P's is the framework for $1 Million Guests. We have position, prepare, perform, profit, and presence. And number 1, position. This is where you learn how to position yourself as the omnipresent, obvious expert. This is where you're going to create compelling bios, which you can also use on all of your social media topics and pitches. A lot of you don't even have pillars on social media that you know. This is literally where you get your brand so prepared and so aligned. And this is all implemented every single week. That's why this is so exciting that it's live, is we're going to make sure that you are implementing each thing from week to week with me live. So this is where you build authority. before the interview even begins. And you're getting booked because of your incredible message, not just your following. So week 2 live is prepare. This is where we are choosing your stories. This is where we find the stories within your life that are going to create that trust. This is where we show transformation stories. This is where we find your demand stories. This is where we create that prep document that you're going to send out to hosts that say everything about how to get you into your zone of genius. This is about learning how to create easy, memorable frameworks, because I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the key things that separates very successful entrepreneurs and teachers and people in the personal development space as well, coaches, is that they have frameworks. There's no fame without the frame. So you may not even know that you have frameworks in you, and we're going to pull those out so that those can be the tracks that you run on and you teach and you create IP for yourself. So we're also going to help you there with guiding conversations naturally towards your offer. So listeners, naturally, I'm going to say naturally, become your client and you don't go on and give the host the ick because you're pitching the whole time. You're going to be pitching without them ever even knowing, because you're going to feel like the obvious next step. So week 3 is perform. This is where we're going to get you dialed in. You guys, there is things that you need to know about rapport with the host. There's things that you need to understand about tonality, energy transfers through the microphone. This is where we'll be crafting your sound bites, your memorable moments, your hooks, your mic drop moments. This is where we even start talking about creating the reels that are going to come and be the marketing asset from the podcast that you record separately. This is where we talk about becoming a compelling storyteller. We're going to learn the art of story selling, creating moments that people want to clip and share that have potential to go viral because we have tested them, and becoming the guest hosts recommend and invite back. Week 4 is profit. This is the buckets, guys. This is where we set up the buckets that catch all of the rain, all of those eyeballs that you have generated up from the storm of podcasting. And they don't just go, that was nice, bye. They go, oh my God, this person has 2 different places for me to go. Like, I can't believe that they literally spoke this into me and I know exactly what to do. Or there's this incredible freebie, or maybe I'm ready to become a coaching client. And they know all of this because we've seeded it through your entire conversation. So you're going to master building the essential assets that every podcast guest needs. I'm going to go even further and say, this is what every business needs. If you don't have everything that I've already said here, you absolutely need to be in this program, because you have to be getting all of these assets that make a complete business for when you get the moments that capture attention. A lot of you, if you went viral, you have leaky buckets. You have buckets with no bottoms. It would leak right out. There'd be nowhere for anybody to go. You could get a viral moment and have nothing for them. This is also where we help you understand lead magnets, but also where we talk about, if you already have them, is this the right lead magnet that goes to your offer? Is this really aligned? Is the next best step your offer? You're going to learn how to use each asset to turn those into customers, selling naturally, like I said, without sounding salesy. This is where we build that conversation sales funnel. That's where we take essentially you as a sales page and light you up into a storytelling genius. And we do this by creating a repeatable customer acquisition system through podcasting. Number 5 is presence. And this is where it's kind of like, okay, I thought the interview was over. Is this, what do I do now? It's just supposed to do its own thing. Yes. And this is where we go through and we make sure that your profile on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you are actually matches the person that they know that they are hearing online. Right? It'd be like if you heard me on a podcast and then you went to and I talked about helping people make money off podcasting, and you went to my Instagram and all I did was upload my ferret, right? Like I literally just had a page full of my ferrets and that's it. You'd be like, I thought I was gonna join your coaching program, but I feel like I can't really get down with this girl, right? Because it doesn't feel aligned. This is where we go. We check your top 6 posts. We check your bio. We check and see if everything is aligned. So when people go, they go, yep, this person is talking about this. This feels very aligned. The topics are aligned. This is how this person is showing up. It doesn't matter the followers. It matters the messaging. So have the social profiles that hosts also want to see. I don't necessarily care if you have a big following and all. I want to know if you are really good at this topic, and I want to see that you've been talking about it. I want to be able to see you speak as well. So we're creating clips that are designed to get shared. This is how to use your past podcasts for getting booked on bigger shows and making every interview work long after it's published.